If you have no problems, I will bring you home after, when I'm done with work. And I did that for a week for somebody because this guy stiffed me, kind of thing. Now they know what is going on, kind of thing. I've moved my afternoon people that normally they go in the morning. We're trying. It's continuing.
I want to tell that part of the story just because everybody needs to understand that we could have more ridership.
Right, that was
To
really what I
circumstances.
meant.
Yes.
Right, I wasn't really thinking that.
Just so everybody knows we're on the air now.
Oh, why's that thing pointing at me then?
I think you're sitting in the wrong place.
It must be a scar.
I didn't even brush my hair.
Any questions?
I just want to understand, so I know there's some revenue, it takes a while for it to come in, but the expectation is that better revenue is expected to be 35,000, is that correct?
That's
The
correct.
state is expected to be 26,900.
That's for 2020.
Last year.
Last
So
year.
am I looking at 2021?
Yes.
32, okay, so it's down a little bit.
Just-
Nonetheless,
Yes,
the difference between revenue and the expense projected is only $6,550. Not a bad deal, so long as all that works out for the most part. And listen, with the virus, getting drivers, I know it's been stressful for everybody. I think bus
Yes.
companies, Jeff would know probably as well. People not wanting to do it, school being in, school being out. Some companies have gone out of business. Bauman, I think, just folded up their shop and closed up. So that's understandable, but that's a good number. For $6,550 a year, that bus can travel. How many people do you think, if you could tell me, from the senior center closing, do you think we're riding that regularly? 2, 5, 10, 30?
it's 4 people times 2, so you count that as 8 trips.
Okay.
And, again, I'm not able to accommodate in the afternoon. A couple people would do the food drive that Aaron does, kind of thing, because of the change in the location. It's hard right now. COVID has taken a toll since I've been back, regardless. Also, we've lost at least 10 riders that have moved out of the area because they're elderly. Jobs. I mean, we used to go up to Bear Mountain all the time. Another cutback.
I
So,
have a question then.
Yes.
You had said that the state bus aid is based on ridership.
yes.
If the ridership is down that much, I'm wondering if that 25,000 is a good number.
I'm gonna hope, Kelly, for 2021.
Yes.
I agree with what Kelly's saying.
Yeah, let me say something to Richard's point. So think about something else. So my mother uses Dr. Moaz's office, right? So then an
Yes.
example, as a person gets older, they might want to ride, right? But if the doctor's office is closed, then that's a ride that's not needed. Certainly if the person is concerned about their immune system, they don't want to go outside, they're not going to get on the bus. So all these factors have contributed to the low ridership. Now, as the state opens back up, then you start to have people come out a little bit more, right?
Yes, they're coming out more, and also we are going to, with the thanks of my part-time driver, Tom, we're going to try Saturday for the first time
Okay.
since COVID. Yep, I mean, we still have to socially distance them and everything, but we're trying.
We've been
We're
talking about
trying.
this, and she's doing all she can to make sure we meet the need, but at the same time, I'm hopeful that as we stay under 1% of COVID people tested, as we can keep that trend, then we're gonna get more riders.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And Kelly is right, my funding for the state is by how many passengers I get and how many revenue miles, not regular miles, revenue miles. And,
So when we weren't charging,
That's-
that didn't count.
yeah, that, unfortunately, however, everybody's experiencing this and the county knows it. So that's why the paperwork that I just gave Supervisor Livesey for over $5,000, I was stunned, Bob, when I saw that. I was very stunned, you know, kind of thing that we're going to get in. And our portion of the payout was like $268 that I gave to the comptroller's office debt today to pay. I was stunned today, that's all I can say.
Anybody have anything else? No. Thank you, Val.
Thank you so much, and again, thank you, board, for allowing me to
Debbie, please
have
thank
two good,
To you and all your
Counterparts.
drivers, thank you for what you do. Keep up the good work.
thank you, and I can't do it without them, so I'm very grateful. Have a good evening.
Good night, Colleen.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Jeff, you're up.
I almost feel bad about the bad news though. So there's only 3 pages on here,
Very well.
3 assumptions. Okay. Changes, it was, due to the fact that I've lost, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, and about 5, Marty, Chris, just all of our drivers that are not active anymore, and it's become a problem. Some of our people are backing out of driving because of COVID, which is kind of understandable. And then we have some people that are driving and know that we're protected and everything. And I had asked on the first line for 2 full-time employees. And understanding what the budget is, I get it, clearly understand it. And that was the only change. In that
I
one.
just want to mention Jeff had put that on his budget, but when I prepared the tentative budget, we keep all the raises out because the board decides that at the end. So in the budget I prepared for you guys, the budget enter, it's flat, the salary line is flat. It doesn't include that bump up that Jeff had.
Yeah, I think it's only 5,000 more.
Yeah.
Even if I don't get 2, I'd like 1, and that way, I don't know if you heard that the COVID is trending. It's trending the same way it was in March. That's what our director said, assistant director of the Department of Health. It's trending in the exact same way, and they're looking for that spike, and they sent out an email to all the captains and chiefs to prepare our people for just that, and to continue to wear our PPE and to be safe out there. So that's one of the reasons, and because we're lost people, and somebody you want all the time, at least 90% of the time, to get our numbers back up, to be driving our EMT is what we were looking at. Currently, with Cornwall, and I don't think people know, Cornwall covering us, they don't have an agreement with Mobile Life.
If it's locked, yes.
So our seniors, all are 65 and over,
Yes,
will
if it's
automatically
locked.
be hit with that bill of, I believe it's $1,300. So if Cornwall ever comes in, and right now they're not doing well, they've lost about 10, 11 people, and from my understanding, the supervisor's asking them to shut down. But with that said, they come in at 65 and over, you're gonna be hit with that ALS bill. So, those are some of the reasons, and understanding what we're going through right now, I get it, we get it, we understand it. The only thing we had questions about on the line with our vehicles, it seems like it was steadily going down, but understanding, just throw that one out, understanding the budget. That's the vehicle reserve fund. It just looked like it kept going down instead of up, and You all know about 385. It's old, it's beat up. We ran it to death before 386 got here, and then the loaner vehicle, we were going out on both the jobs. So we need to be careful. In fact, I just put it in to get it completely serviced, so we will have it. And the only other thing was the clerk salary. I just added a stipend for the captain, considering all that the captain has to do, and it's only bumped up a little bit, so. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. Training. So what are we talking about when we say training? Is it some sort of anthem training, or is it training for the folks that get on board?
Yes. Yes, you must have bloodborne pathogens, you must have CPR training, pro CPR. You have to have a bunch of other things like 100, 200, and 700 in order to ride.
So
There are
currently,
certain
the people you
requirements.
have- Currently, the people you have on staff all have this training.
Yes, and actually, the CPR Pro is every 2 years.
Okay.
Bloodborne pathogens and all the other ones are every year.
All right, so now, you can probably guess where I'm going with this, right? So if everybody currently is trained, is there anything that you could take out of that budget, that number right there, if you got everybody trained right now?
Well, we have to have CPR because we're just coming up on it. Yeah, I could move some down on training.
We can get into the details later, I just wanted to
Okay.
stimulate the thought.
Our workman's comp carrier offers some online training. I know CPR obviously is a
Yeah.
but they do bloodborne pathogens. I can send you the link. I don't know how many of what they offer online are what you need, but you can at least take a look through and see if there's anything that would fit what you're doing.
Okay.
Ambulance equipment, you went from 5 to 10. Is there something specific you're looking for?
Ambulance equipment.
Yeah, that's
The 3 lines down from the top.
You're on the south, clerk south.
No.
I'm looking to see if you had a note in here, Jeff.
Yeah, I see it. Is that, did you say something, Cal?
I'm just looking to see if we have a note in here from the, about.
I think that's only because of 385, but that can stay flat.
That can stay flat.
Yeah, I think that's only because of 385.
And I know your actual this year is higher, but a lot of that was reimbursed by the insurance company.
Right.
That you bought.
Right.
So I agree 100% on the personnel issue you just said. Hopefully, this board can figure out how to at least get you one new person. But in order to do that, I think there's these areas like training, and we just saw that 10 go to 5, and then even uniforms, 3. Much as I voted for that last time, under this circumstance, I don't know that I can, so, because I want to get you the people that you need. So just take a look at that.
Sure. What's the name didn't change. Uniforms didn't change, that stayed flat.
Okay.
But we can work on
If
it.
you remember last year,
Yes.
you wanted X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
We split it in half.
Yes.
I made a promise that you'd get the other half this year. but that never expected
And like I said, I prefaced the meeting with clearly understood what Kelly was saying when I heard it was us the most, so I clearly understand.
Jeff, was it because of the virus? Doesn't look like a lot of the money from last year was actually expended toward uniform. There's still quite a bit left over, I think, right?
Yeah, we still have, we've been trying to find dress shirts at a cheaper price and still effective. We have collared shirts that Vasily is doing for us right now. So that's about coming out.
And the reserve fund, Kelly, where's that at? Reserve fund for new ambulance.
Jeff budgeted 25,000.
I mean, where's it at?
Oh, it's on the bottom of that page.
I see ambulance, I got it.
Got it.
Sit flat, leave it alone. Understand? can work on that next
It was
year.
9,000.
Yeah. And it was only a question about why is it so low when we know that 385 is going out. But like I said, just leave it alone, let's keep it
What
where it is.
year is 385? How old is it?
It's 2009, right?
Yes, because the
Believe-
15 is the one that was totaled.
Yes.
It's a 9.
It's a 9, 2009.
So we're 11 years old?
Yeah, with some heavy riding on it.
I know, but I mean, we used to have a plan for every 10 years.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not seeing any good numbers yet,
You know what?
so I'm not seeing any good numbers yet, not just with you, but everything that we're doing.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just concerned about the spike in COVID and having people on board to get to these calls. And I'm concerned about Cornwall coming in for our seniors, that they're gonna have to take a hit on that bill. We have an agreement with ALS, but Cornwall doesn't have that agreement. So when ALS, if Cornwall does any of our calls and it's a person on over 65, on 65 and above, I'm sorry, they are gonna get that ALS bill, because there is no agreement with Mobile Life. It's a CON. Certificate,
Senior, why is it,
65.
I mean, why is that?
It's been that, but not with us. See, we take the hit, it's $335 if ALS comes in,
No, but what you're saying was if Cornwall comes in and ALS comes in,
and ALS unit
and it's somebody over 65,
65 and above.
what does that mean? The insurance something for that?
Yeah, we have an agreement with them. They don't have an agreement with ALS, with Mobile Life.
Right. But if somebody under 65, who picks that up?
That would be their insurance, and we have an agreement with them, so,
Now, that doesn't sound,
yeah. With ours, it's been that way. I think Bill, you, Marty had that worked out with Mobile Life. I think that's the way it works, right, Kel?
So, I also just want to mention the revenue here for the ambulance. So last year, their actual revenue, oh, that's wrong. I have a bad number in here for actual revenue for last year. But this year, so right now, they're only at about $96,000 in revenue. The prior year, it was 200 and change.
Yeah.
So if I just take what's done this year and annualize it, we'll be at about $140,000 in revenue for 2020.
Mhm.
So for this budget, I put in $150,000 in revenue. Last year was 211. I was on the wrong line, I'm sorry. Last year we budgeted 211 and they collected 203,000 last year, 2019. So this year 2020 budget was the same, 211,000. But I don't think they're going to collect that. And I'm sure that's a combination of COVID and the ambulance being out of service.
Right. Some of those lost calls.
So I reduced, that's a $64,000 reduction in revenues for the ambulance. So what do you think about that though, Jeff? You know, that's just me figuring it out. What do you think is going to happen in 2021? Is it better now that you have the second ambulance back?
Yeah, I would say so.
I did just
We
get
had,
payment.
as you stated, Kelly, very eloquently, we lost a lot of calls because at one point we were no ambulance.
I know, I remember.
So there was calls there that Cornwall was taking.
So I don't know, maybe the 150 is light, maybe we could go to 175. I did just get a payment today.
Okay.
For PAD for 10,000.
Okay. I think we and I haven't given you that, it's, we had 40 calls last month.
Oh, okay.
So I'll get that paperwork to you.
maybe I should.
And we're coming up on the end of this month, and we're around this, about the same amount. So
Okay.
you're looking at September, going into October. We still have 3 months.
Right,
Flu season's coming in, hopefully not the COVID season
hopefully
again.
not. And then what did we decide on the reserve fund?
What kind of numbers did you have?
You had it at
Back down
9,000.
to the same as last year, 9,000?
Yes. How much is in there right now, or is it, will we spend it all?
I think, I didn't bring my reserve fund schedule, but I'm pretty sure we depleted it with the ambulance.
Yeah. Yeah, mine too. Wrong way. Wrong way.
Oh, yeah. I don't normally sit in that seat.
I saved it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you okay if I keep my mask on?
We increased the revenue to 25, and increased the revenue to 75. If you think that's doable.
There's no way to chop away enough of the lost revenue.
I know.
Jeff, what I'd ask you to do as you go back and look at this, there seems to be some areas, so for example, I'm looking at, supplies in 2020, was budgeted 8,000, and then you actually used 2,500. Is that right? Am I seeing that right here?
That's only through June of
So
2020.
through June.
Hey, I brought current numbers with me through today.
Let's see what's going on.
A lot of the supplies that we did under the COVID too. I don't know if you're getting that money replaced or not. A lot of it was under
So far, they
COVID.
spent 3,957 through today on supplies, 4,000.
So theoretically, it's possible they can use 8,000, but it doesn't look like it.
Right, because we're at 3/4 of the way through the year.
Yeah, so I'm saying areas like that, you could probably cut
To,
about $2,000 out of there, right? And there's a couple others like that. If you just look at what you did last year, how much you requested versus how much you used,
right,
and it's gonna bring down the number. That's not to say we can't go back in the future and everything is hunky-dory again, but right now it's tight.
That's for sure.
so supplies, you want to bring that down to 6?
Go ahead. I do believe that we're still under that program of claiming those things that we use for COVID and write on my voucher as COVID.
We're going to wait for guidance from FEMA on that.
Right.
Just to get an idea of the timing, I just last week closed out Hurricane Sandy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that money's not gonna come fast.
Yeah.
And
we haven't even gotten advised
we're
that,
no longer under emergency either.
oh, you were going to.
I didn't renew
Renew
it.
it, okay.
I don't really see any justification.
We'll see what happens, but so far I haven't heard anything. I spoke to Gina at the village too last week, and she hasn't either, so.
Another one of those areas, Jeff and Kelly, is fuel.
Well, they were down in the ambulance,
Yeah,
Okay, so we got another ambulance, we expect the fuel consumption to be up.
exactly.
because we have a gas ambulance
So
now.
how far up do we think it's gonna go?
Well,
I don't know really where you can cut on
let
that.
me look and see what it is right now, as of today.
Because press hard on this for a couple of reasons. One, because we have to do it, and then two, we gotta get people, right? It's gonna be hard to justify that if we don't.
$1,322 in fuel as of today.
1,000?
Yeah, we didn't get the September bill yet though, so that's through July.
Budget
August.
5,500.
But you're also looking at both, all our vehicles at the time were diesel until 386 went out.
So we did, what kind of vehicles we gonna
We have one gas and one diesel.
look?
385 is diesel, 386 is gas.
So then you think you could do it for 3,500?
When we go over that, what happens?
Well,
That's my concern.
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, we got a problem sitting in front of us.
If we go over there, we're not gonna shut you down, so we'll just have to transfer money to one into another.
Then, okay then, works for me.
So it'd be 35. Anything more for this young man?
What are the contractual expenses here?
I think that's Kelly, the contractual.
I have it here, hold on. So that's things like, IDM Medical, I think that's where you get oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Can't cut
Bill
oxygen.
Cook, the laundry,
Yes.
well, that's about it, it's all that, the laundry.
2018 is pretty much on par, at 40,000. 2019 it went over significantly.
It's gonna be over this year too, I think. Right now, they're at $3,069. Budget.
So the 5,000 probably needs to be a lot longer.
And we've only gotten bills through the end of July. So we don't have anything, after that.
We are a shared service with both police departments with oxygen. So that needs to be noted. Not that we understand that they need it just as much as us, but they get it from us.
Actually, in this account, now that I'm looking at it, I see there's some equipment that ended up going to contracted expenses for $2,292 from NSAR, EMSAR. NSAR,
Yeah.
so that should be in equipment.
Everybody all right?
If you need anything else, you know where I am.
Whatever you do.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Say
Jeff.
what you got, little man. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, 15 minutes after, we can take a place from the budget. We have a public hearing.
September 14th, we passed a resolution to introduce and schedule a public hearing to receive public comments concerning the enactment of a local law to override the tax levy limit established by general municipal law, section 3C. The public was notified at least 7 days prior. The public hearing is to be held tonight at 7 p.m. And notice of the public hearing was put in the newspaper specifying time and place according to municipal law. I'll ask for a motion to open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to comment on overriding the tax cap? If there is no public comment, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Can you turn that mic a little bit?
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you very much. And if we can also lay aside the, what you call it, the budget. We have a presentation tonight that will be, Richie, maybe you can explain, and then it will calculate.
So from the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee, for the last year, a little bit over, the topic of community choice aggregation has been discussed. I've talked about it here a couple of times, just enough to be dangerously in error. So that's why we have Olga and Mindy here. Mindy, I think, has a thing on YouTube for being the first person in America to drive an electric car, if I'm not mistaken, with Dan Rather interviewing her. She's an instructor on post and quite knowledgeable about such things. And I'm going to let you, Olga and I went to a couple of presentations for a company called Joule down in Rockland County. So what they do is they're kind of like brokers, I guess you would say. They collect energy, and some of it being green, most of it being green if possible, and disperse it, and that's as much as I'm going to say without letting them do their thing.
Yes. Stand up to this microphone, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Mindy Kimball. I'm on the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee. And we wrote an information paper for you that we sent along. And our main purpose for this presentation is just to give you the information, find out if there's questions that you have that we could research for you, and just generally encourage that this is an action that the town could consider taking to give choice to the residents on where they get their power from. And so community choice aggregation is basically this idea, like Richie said, the town as a local government would have to pass a resolution to decide to have community choice aggregation for the town, and would pick an administrator. And that administrator is the people you go to get the electricity from, although you would still get your basic services from the utility. You just would get your actual electrons from an administrator where you would have a choice in where that electricity comes from. So by who you pick for the CCA administrator, then you could pick an administrator that ensures that there may be 100% renewable energy, or maybe they're a combination of other things. And what it also gives for you in the future is, as energy sources change, and say like as New York State requires people to go to different sources of energy, moves away from fossil fuels, then the town would have choices in where that electricity could come from, to include things like solar or microgrids, which has been mentioned, you know, in this area in the past, could be integrated into that community choice aggregation. And so we just wanted to open it up to questions. If you want us to look into other things for you so that you have the right information to make a decision of whether the town would want to do a CCA, we think it's a good way to give the citizens a choice in where their electricity comes from, a choice in what the sources of that energy is. On top of that, the other towns and local governments in the area and throughout New York State that have gone with CCAs and have started a CCA, they have seen lower electricity prices for their citizens. And the big thing is it doesn't force anybody at all to actually buy their electricity from this CCA. They can opt out and say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to keep getting electricity the way I get it now. That's fine. And so it gives the citizens a choice. The big sticking point, you know, I'll just be upfront with it because we don't want to sell people that this is some silver bullet that's going to fix everything and ensure that they get great power prices always forever. The way that New York State says that it should be administered is through an opt-out program. So in other words, if we decided to go with a CCA, most likely our administrator would say, okay, this is the plan, this is where your electricity is going to come from. If you don't want to do it, you have to tell us no. If you don't say anything, you're getting it. And so it's an opt-out program the way New York State says that it should be done. But with that, I'll kind of stop and see if you all have any questions, or I can take some notes and we can get back to you with more detailed information if there's something you're worried about or you want to ask us to find out for you.
Okay, you're talking to the town right now,
Yes,
not the village.
right.
But if a program were set up, would it automatically include the village? And don't get me wrong, I have no problem including the village, they should be included. But if something was set up, does it automatically go to the village?
No, it would not automatically. So, but more than likely because of the size, because of our size, we would have to go in with either an existing CCA, because we don't have enough people to have like our own by ourselves CCA, and it's something that Olga has talked with some of the village folks about. But Olga, there.
Yeah, well, I brought it up with you know, at least one member of the village board to try to get them up to speed on it. So
I'm sorry?
the plan would be to go in front of the village board eventually as well with the same messaging. So we wanted, of course, to bring it to the town board first, and at least lay the basics in front of you. And I would propose that there have been a number of municipalities in the area that have done this very successfully. And Rockland is the latest to come on board. We've had our neighbors across the river do this very successfully. And I would encourage inviting one of those representatives here to speak with you peer to peer, so you can hear directly from them what their experience is going through this process. So we can stand here and talk all day, but I think it's really more meaningful for you to hear from people in these other municipalities that have actually taken all the steps and to see what value they have gained from it. So that's what I would suggest we do next. But really the whole idea is to try to engage in a process where we have the potential to lower our energy costs and to go green. So those are the objectives, and quite frankly, those have been successfully met in many, many CCAs. It's not 100% guarantee, but it is it works that way.
Yeah, and the nice thing that Olga has made these connections with the other local governments who have navigated this already and have been doing this for several years. And they're 100% transparent. They're willing to share with us their exact documents, their exact language, the way they wrote things, the way they did their contracts, the way they did their bidding. They're sharing it all with us. And there's many, many towns, many, many different versions we could look at to not do this, not recreate the wheel ourselves.
Something I'd like to say, I'm gonna sound a little bit like a fool, that's okay, if it helps people to understand, is about a year ago, I think it was almost a year ago to the date, we had a woman come in, Michelle Reese, I think was her name.
Yes.
The town has 14 accounts. We changed our supplier was from Constellation to Direct
Correct.
and saved a pretty good amount of money. Just want people to understand, this is for 1,800 meters in the town of Highlands, not for 14 meters that belong to the town of Highlands proper. So it's for everybody. And I guess they're probably looking to do this in bulk for everybody to get their savings. And last year, about a year and a month ago, we had Jeff Dumansky here to speak. And I've gone with Olga to hear, I think his name is Michael Gordon from Jewel. And if you look at their profiles or portfolios, there's Mega, Jewel, some of them are green, some of them have a little bit of fossil fuel mixed in there and whatnot. And it's kind of interesting to look at the track record, because this hasn't been around forever, to see how they're performing. And it's hot and heavy right now, it's moving forward.
Yep, that is exactly right. Thank you. And you made me think of one other point that also is important to note for the people of the town that would have this choice. At any time, they can change their mind. So if they didn't opt out right when it started and said, "Hey, wait a minute, I meant to opt out." Well, okay, you can opt out now. At any time, you can opt out, and you can then opt back in.
You can't lose, in other words.
And just to further explain it, help me to understand, in order for these people to have that option, the board would have to pass a resolution allowing it.
Yes.
Right. There's, so if the board decides that this is something of interest, our committee would be pleased to create sort of a little plan where it would spell out, all the requirements and, resolutions, part of it. There'd be, public meetings, there's a lot of education that happens around this. It's all very transparent, so we'd be happy to lay that out as an expectation. There's really no cost to the town to engage in this, other than time spent.
Right.
The process is, anything that involves a cost factor is borne by the administrator that the town selects. It's a competitive process that the board can engage in and select the administrator. And
So somewhere down the line, the town board was select John Jones. He's going to be the administrator for the town of Highlands,
correct.
right? And he would work with the town of Fishkill, if that's the ones we joined up with.
Sure.
Yes.
If it was an existing CCA that we joined on with, then they would be dealing with other, or let's say it's one of these that we've already mentioned, Jewel or whatever it is, they also are doing other towns right now.
And the savings, the consumer would see this in their Orange and Rockland bill?
Correct.
Yes.
Like, what do they call the provider and the
Supplier.
supplier?
The supplier, yeah.
That's a hard part to understand, is when they deliver, there's only one set of wires, so Jewel doesn't have it set, so the copper lines that have these valence electrons, what you're getting is who's providing the voltage to move that electron, and it's sort of mathematical.
It is. It's an accounting thing of where who's making the electricity to put it into the grid, and then there are actually separate pots of money for what they call a transmission and distribution. And so you still have to pay transmission and distribution to the utility, the people that are maintaining the wires. But where you buy your electricity that's coming through the plug, that's a different pot of money that you're paying. And that's what the CCA would be selling to us.
So, you know, if you need a little bit more time to ponder this, well, like I said, we'd be happy to see if there's some speakers we could get in to help you to
Yeah, I
get a
would
better
love to
feel.
hear that, person or people come in and explain how it is impacting here.
Yeah, and how it's
Okay.
worked for them, yeah.
Okay.
We can reach out and see if we can get one or two people to come and speak to the board.
As you see, we're open, and anything that'll help the people. We're going to put out a budget that's going to be tough, and probably we're going to be paying more taxes in town. That's a given. But if we can help save a nickel and dime on the electricity, whatever, so whatever we can do to make it better for the people is what we really need to do.
Is it through the volume that there's these additional savings? Because my understanding is that people can right now choose to have other suppliers if they wanted to go with solar, or if they wanted to go with windmills, and they make their own arrangements. But it's through the volume that you're getting when you bring everything together. The only thing I'm not crazy about is everybody who doesn't want to be part of it. And I'm not sure why they wouldn't want to be, but they would have to go through a process to opt out
Yes.
of the thing.
Most definitely, yep. And that would be where we could be a facilitator in the education, getting the word out, writing some things in the paper, putting flyers around, reminding people ahead. If we decided to do this, then it would be a certain date when it takes effect. And so ahead of that would be a big push information campaign like, hey, make sure you need to think about this and you can make a choice.
And who pays the administrator to oversee all this?
The administrator is paid out of the cost of the electricity. They get like a penny per whatever. So it's a very tiny amount that, from the total pot of cost for the electricity. They get a teeny weeny little bit of it, which, again, it's a matter of buck. It adds up once you.
So the users are paying the administrator.
Yes.
Eventually, that's what it is, but it's a tiny percentage, and, presumably, the savings will outweigh the small percentage
Yeah.
of the fee.
And really, it's in the same way that right now, if I'm paying Orange and Rockland, I'm paying them a little fee to administer my electricity too.
It's a billable, but it's listed separately. But that would be taken off of the average customer if we went with the administrator.
Yes, and mostly where they're making their money, because it's not just like a charity, they're not just giving away electricity to make it cheaper. They are getting it through that bulk pricing and through their ability to resource these alternative energies that don't have these price fluctuations like fossil fuel does. Okay, well, at any point, we're at your disposal. If you think of some questions, you want us to research something, you can let us know at any time and we'll run it to ground and we'll work on getting folks to come talk to you about their experiences with CCA.
Well, I like the idea that you said you put together something, steps to get into this.
Yeah, right.
Set it up.
Something I've learned in the last couple of years, remember about a year ago, you gave me a paper from some law firm related to Champlain Hudson, I forget the name of that line.
Yeah.
So it's a DC line that's going to be in the Hudson River. buried in the Hudson River to bring power, green power, whatever, from upstate down. The reason being, if I understand correctly, our current grid, all these windmills and solar things upstate aren't tied in strong enough to get that stuff down here at the moment. So that Champlain Hudson line, I believe, is going in this year, if I'm not mistaken. And the intent, it's a DC line, it's not AC, I've seen pictures of it. It's gonna have stops along the way. I think one's gonna be down in Stony Point to deliver energy tied into Jewel and other people. Because I didn't understand what that was until I researched it a little bit, you know.
I knew if I gave it to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ladies, we
Appreciate it.
really appreciate it.
Do you need this? You can have it if you need it.
No, I don't need it. Yeah. Okay, we're going to continue with the regular meeting. I have the minutes of September the 14th. Would anybody like to approve them? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you for sending them electronically.
Thank you for accepting it.
Okay, reports from our liaisons. No report. No. Councilman Sullivan?
I didn't have time to do anything formal. I'm probably gonna forget people, so a couple things. One, Olga's gang, a couple of Saturdays ago, there was Olga, Kathy Beach, Elizabeth Laurie, myself, and Cindy Modlin. Went around and picked up a little bit of garbage down to the ambulance corps and whatnot. Found a couple of syringes and things like that. It wasn't too awful bad. But if you walk along the sides of the streets, I do a lot of work in construction. When you work alongside the thruway, every square inch has human garbage on it, of plastic or one type or another. So I would just ask people to try and, you know, keep good habits. It wasn't all that bad. Wanted to give them a little plug for that. The other thing was the Rotary. I know we had the interviews for the building department, but I did take a little bit of time to go to the Rotary's meeting up at the Hotel Thayer last Thursday. They were very kind, and they had a presentation I'd like to talk about. I think it's a company's called Stryker. It's a Lucas 3.1 chest compression machine. I believe it's $15,000 to $17,000. They're selling raffle tickets for a generator. I know there's about 30 members in Rotary. If I tried to name them all I'm gonna do is get in trouble. Please see somebody from the Rotary to buy a raffle ticket. I think it's a fantastic piece of equipment for an ambulance corps member, for the ambulance corps to use. What they were talking about is this guy is a grad, he was a football player. And he says, if you try to resuscitate somebody for a couple of minutes, you're spent. Then somebody spells you off, and they're riding in the back of an ambulance not strapped in. So he hooked this thing up to people. The battery lasts 90 minutes, and it's doing its thing. And it's, I'm not going to say it's smart, but it is adjustable. It fits 90% of the population. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And I just wanted to thank Rotary for being so kind to me. Mary Jane was there. And it was a nice presentation. I encourage people to buy tickets. I think they draw on October 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. And aside from that, we're going to talk about the building department later on. Just we interviewed, so you know we'll talk about that later on. That's it.
Councilman King?
Not much this evening. I have, well, I want to say, first of all, I talked earlier to the board members here about the issue that was raised in the community about some areas where apparently there's high rates of speed in potential areas where children are. One of the areas that was mentioned was the firefighters' road, firefighters at Memorial Drive. So supervisor had, of course, jumped on this thing quickly last week when it was brought to his attention. Me as the liaison went out and looked at the site myself, and then talked with Chief, who had already implemented increased police presence in that particular area. So then I went back on, I think yesterday or Saturday or Sunday, and then I saw Officer Bailey, who was out on the scene as he was getting ready to come off shift, I believe, doing his thing. But what I was taken back, I was really happy to see is him engage a I think it was a visitor to the community. It was a person who parked in the Brooks Park. So apparently there's a law that says when you park, you have to park your car as you're driving on the right side of the road. So some people, not aware or not realizing, they parked the nose of their car on the left side of the road, which is a violation. And so in this case, he had a couple of those violations inside our park. So as I'm sitting here talking to him about the speed mitigation, which he's doing a fabulous job, there's a person that comes over that's not happy about the fact they just got a ticket for parking the nose of their car incorrectly. Well, Officer Bailey kindly explained to him what the violation was, what the rule was according to the law, and told him, where to send his check to be able to pay the fine if he wanted to accept responsibility for that. If not, he can certainly come to court. But the way he handled that situation, it just made me think about, in light of everything that's going on in the country, the way officers have to deal with this or that. I mean, I just want to commend the force there, and to include him as personally, but the whole team. Keep up the good work. That was a great way to defuse any type of incident. Not being overly aggressive, but just being thorough and professional. And so good job on his part. But that's what I wanted to say about the police in terms of recreation. Aaron continues to do what he does with the community. I've seen a lot of good stuff happening. Some sort of soccer. It's not quite a league, but it's kind of like drills or something. That was productive. I think that was a good thing. And then tomorrow's Tuesday, so we're going to have the feeding program over at the intermediate school at, 1 o'clock, Mary Jane?
1 to 3.
1 to 3. For those in the community in need, certainly come out. That's been a heck of an operation that he continues to do, and then has requested and gotten, I believe, an extension. It hasn't been approved, so we don't know. But we'll see what happens. But tomorrow's still good. Tomorrow's still good for those of you at home. 1 to 3, intermediate school.
Tomorrow and Thursday.
And Thursday. Tomorrow and Thursday, 1 to 3, intermediate school on Mountain Avenue. So those are two things. I mean, Jeff was here, Chief is here. That's all I have for this evening.
Excellent. You mentioned the complaints on the road down there and what have you. Just for general knowledge, I get complaints on the phone and I get email complaints. I don't jump right in and handle those complaints myself. Chief knows I've sent him a number of emails, just forwarded. It's so simple, bing, bing, forward, and now the chief's got it. And he can tell me whether he can do something about it or not have you. It just saves time for me, saves time for him, and it gets the problem solved. That's the most important thing. I got a call about somebody having trouble with their water. No, it wasn't a call, it was an email. I sent the email right out to Pat Patterson. So if you send me an email or call me up, you may not get a direct answer back from me, but it's always being taken care of, and in the best manner that I can. For me to go out and look at your water problem, that doesn't do anything. So I sent Pat right on out for the water problem. Water. I have a request from the mayor, who is our supplier. The village is our supplier for water. He would like to put a voluntary restriction on the use of water, not only in the village, but outside the village. That means no automatic lawn sprinklers, no washing your car, no washing down your driveway. Whatever you can do to conserve water, it's a voluntary conservation effort. And as you well know, it looked like it was going to pour all day today, and we got nothing. So Bog Meadow is down how much? Down a little
Probably
bit.
10 feet. I think it's close to 50% by their, I don't want to alarm anybody, but I was out there over the weekend. I mean, the entire old dam is visible. So it's probably down 9 to 10 feet in elevation.
It went from 52% last Monday to 47% this Monday.
Thank you.
Very good.
There's a picture of the dam right there.
Chief, you have anything for us?
I think I just have to, if I could, sir, just stress exactly what you said. I don't monitor social media, so a lot of times I won't know what's going on, but if I receive an email from you, or my email's listed on the website, and if there's no one in the station, 911 will always call back, name and number. Since the beginning of the summer, I think this is our 5th individual traffic post or parking complaint that we've looked into. So if, we can't address it unless we know about it. Either that's a suspicious person, or a noise complaint, or parking complaint. We need to know about it to address it. I just wanted to mention that out there. Thank you.
Pat found for me the New York State regulation that says no humps or bumps, the humps and bumps across the road for traffic control they are not allowed.
Never use traffic control devices, that's correct.
Now, I know in Haverstraw, they've got a bunch of them, but if they're breaking the law, that's their problem, it's not our problem. But when we know it's breaking the law, we're not gonna do it. Speed limits. Speed limit in the town, where not posted otherwise, is 30 miles an hour. We can't make it 25 miles an hour or lower than 30 miles an hour without the state permission. We have to get the state to allow us to do it, and we have to give them a reason why. So it's not that we don't care to do things like that, it's we're under the state regulations, and that's the way it's got to be.
And we are monitoring the side streets as well. Both our day tour and our 4 to 12 are on firefighters, extra presence on the weekends when we have parking complaints on Mine Road. Dozens of summonses were issued for illegal parking there for accessing the swimming area. So the message is there. If we know about it, we're going to take action.
And on firefighters, we did pass the no parking zones, but we haven't posted all the signs yet. We still need to have signs to go. So that'll be done as soon as the highway department gets the time to do it. Right now, they've been doing a lot of work up on Wyant, and doing a good job up there. A job that's been there for a couple of years now, finally getting done.
So say what? Yeah, I think part of it. So when you go out to that particular area where they're talking about, it's right where the sign says Line Dock Park, and you take a left to go down to the river. So then there's 2 signs out there. One on the right says 20 miles per hour, and just going out of the community towards Bear Mountain. Coming in adjacent to it on the other side of the road, it says 30 miles per hour.
Correct.
Now that's probably because that is a state law as you're coming into the community, right? And then there's a state park.
That's the state park road.
Going that
road
direction. Yeah.
That belongs to the state park.
So it's clearly marked coming into the area of concern by the park is 30 miles an hour.
Right.
So that's why we positioned our units there by the park, monitors the stop sign as well because of heavy traffic, and obviously the speed also. So it takes care of 2 situations. Unfortunately, last week we had a very bad accident, no serious injuries on 293, and the sign that said no commercial vehicle was taken out. So we're going to hope that's put back up, so that would eliminate commercial vehicle coming from 293 to access, eventually the local roads.
Right. And the issue with humps and bumps, though. Apparently the humps is designed to slow you down from 5 to 15 miles, something like this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number for speed-wise, but I just know that we just can't place them as traffic control devices.
Right. I'm just trying to educate the community. So if you're going 30 miles an hour, which is the speed limit, and then all of a sudden you hit a hump that was designed to make you go 5 to 15 miles an hour, sounds like a potential accident, right?
Oh, absolutely. If you hit the hump and then hit your head on the car,
You'll know
Yeah.
you're gonna get sued.
So the community may not understand that. That's what I'm trying to educate.
The thing I'd like to say about it is, first of all, I'm all for enforcement. In my lifetime, one of the big mistakes I think government has made is becoming dependent upon the judicial branch of government for revenue. So if people are doing something wrong, I would like it to not be subjective. I'd like it to be objective. If they need to park the right way, they should either know that or should be delineated. On social media, I saw some post about this saying that people emailed every member of the town board to see what we were going to do. I never got such emails. I just wanted to let people know that I got none.
And I only found about it through the wind as well, and my email's listed on the website. And you could always call the main number. If no one's in the station, Orange County 911 will immediately let patrol know name and number. If it has to do with something of a traffic control device or a situation, even if it's a Saturday, they'll call me and we'll take care of it.
Well, what I'd ask the community to be, certainly the concern is noted, I mean, I understand the small children in the area, nobody more than us wants the community to be safe. But to make the assumption that you would send an email and then we just gonna sit here and do nothing, well, the truth of the matter is, you really don't know what is happening, right? It's if you give it a little time, we can all convey to you what's happening. Like, for example, the fact that I'm the liaison made me feel compelled. I wasn't told to do it, but I went out there to see for myself, right? On Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday, just so I can have an awareness of what the situation really is. So I would just ask people to know that everybody up here really does care about what they're doing, and we care about the community, and nobody got the email and just blew it off.
Bob was an umpire and a coach down there for 30 years, weren't you? Something like that? More?
30. Reports, do our attorney have anything?
Just the resolution for the passing of local law 2 for the tax levy override.
All right, carry on, tell us what we got. My voice is going.
No problem. You have a very straightforward resolution to adopt local law number 2 to override the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law Section 3C. That was the public hearing you just conducted, and it's that simple of a motion.
Do I have a motion to adopt the local law to override the tax levy limit established by the General Municipal Law? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Lipsky?
Aye. The only other piece of business before we get back to the budget is our building department. By we, I mean our controller, Kelly Kelly Patrol. Councilman Mr. Sullivan, Councilman King, myself, and the building inspector. I don't know if that's his title, but the only person we have working in the building department right now. All interviewed 6 candidates? Was it 6 candidates?
Yes.
From the standing county list. And very fortunately, as far as I'm concerned,
5. What was the motion?
very fortunately, all 3 of us came to the decision of one particular person. So Kelly, I would ask you to, well, first of all, I'm going to ask for a motion from the board to hire Mr. John Zazak, Z-A-Z-A-C.
Is that CAJ?
Yes, Zajac.
Okay, Z-A-J. Zajac, anyway. And I'm saying hire, but I'm not saying hire. Offer the position to him. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. We had 5 people, each one had a little different way about them, and I'm just glad we all saw this one person kind of like this. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Just, it was a pleasure, a little bit stressful, but a pleasure going through the process. In regard to the civil service list, when I was on the Board of Education, I dealt with this with most of our superintendent of buildings and ground. They have a list you have to go off of. They'll only give the test every couple of years. If you say I need people, they'll say there's 44 people on the list, there's your choice. I won't mention names. There was one interview we had when I was on the Board of Education where the applicant was in the lobby and fell asleep. We shut the lights off and just left the building and left him there. But anyway, this list sent us some people, won't mention any names, that did well on the test and gets them qualified to come before you, but they don't have the credentials to be a building inspector. I was a bit surprised by that.
I was too.
And a little bit disappointed, if you don't mind my saying so. And apparently, you can't get these credentials unless you work for a municipality. I'd like to see that changed, but but that's my observation.
Okay. So, being there's no other official business, we'll continue with the official budget business. We have about 3 more things here, probably another 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Town board.
well, the building department's on it too.
Oh, God.
Do I have it here?
Bob, do you want to keep this going?
Yeah, let's keep it going till 8 o'clock. Good night, all right?
Take care, chief.
Take care, good night.
Night, Chief.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, hey, before you go, what's going on?
I'll bring it down either tomorrow or Wednesday. I'll coordinate with you. They were communicating with the other council and wanted to change a few things. Okay?
It got confusing.
I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot that you were already in the meeting and, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, there's a folder in the copy room. Did you get it?
A copy room, I'll grab it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay,
Okay.
town board.
Town board's
What
budget.
town?
Well, I just picked one randomly.
Okay.
I don't see anything in there that we
So
can
I
cut,
I made this budget.
but I think Richie would like to see us all get one of those little gadgets there. But
An iPad.
I don't think this is the time to do it.
I know we're on TV, and I'm gonna say what I have to say. It's my pleasure to have this position, but I don't owe that to the taxpayers. I just want to make that statement. I'm happy to use it. I use it frequently. Otherwise, I'd have to come here after hours to use town computers, whatever, for town business. I can be in the seat of a machine talking to you and fire up a file and tell you what it is. I just want to say that I don't owe this to the taxpayers, and it's susceptible to foil. I'll just leave it at that.
Very good. So,
The only thing I did on your town board budget was I changed contractual from, was $1,050. You never really spent that much, so I cut it back to $500. And then the training that's in there, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen with training, because, you know, if anyone needs to go to training in January, I don't know if it's all going to be virtual, in which case there would be no training expense. I don't, well, you know, like everything else, we don't know what's going to happen. And there'll be at least one new person on the board who may have to go to the training in January.
We can talk about the Association of Towns training.
Right, and the newly elected officials.
I would tell you that I would not be comfortable going this year with things the way they are and the way I think they're gonna be, so if it's virtual, that's great. I won't be going in person.
So then maybe we should cut that. It's $2,800 that's in the training budget.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, let's cut 2,000 of it, leave 800 for something, where you might want to go to something Scenic Hudson's putting on or something like that.
I think a lot of it will end up being virtual, that's.
No, I agree.
Some kind of a meeting or something elsewhere. Because there's no reason why some of these things that you should have to pay out of your pocket.
Yeah. No, I feel like, Richie, if I'm back here in November, guess what? I wouldn't go either. I just wouldn't feel comfortable with it. So I concur with you.
Receiver of taxes.
Receiver of taxes, so I sat with Rachel and we went through her budget. And she didn't really have any changes in it. We increased her other expenses slightly, and cut her bond because that came in under budget last year. And we also cut the training, the same reason as everyone else's training has been cut. Her postage went up though because she, you're not seeing it in the actual numbers for 2020 yet because she's not going to mail the property tax bills until December. So she'll be it'll be close with the postage there, so that increased slightly. Plus, she's mailing a lot of receipts back to people, because so many people are paying by mail, and she's mailing receipts back, so that's that. And then on her revenue lines, so we've had trouble with these lines in the past, but I'm confident that the property tax penalties will come in at $5,000. We're not gonna see those yet, until, she hasn't turned them over to me as of June. And then duplicate bill fees is minimal, that's nothing. And then the school tax collection fee, she's still in the process of collecting school tax. It's not even out of the penalty, they're still paying without penalty. So her budget was pretty straightforward.
Property tax penalties is for paying late.
Yes,
That alone is gonna generate that much money.
there you go. So that's the tax receipts budget.
Do we have a problem with bounce checks at all?
She's had a couple. For the school tax collection, I think there's been 2 or 3. So
I think this was brought up before, years ago, or whatever have you, and we should be charging like $30.
$33, there's a bounce check too.
And we do charge?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Where does that go? I'm looking at her revenue.
Oh, it would be, when she turns that over, well, I don't know that she's gotten any yet this year. It would be like other miscellaneous revenue. We don't budget for that.
All right.
There's only a few normally.
I'm just
There's
curious.
one today, as a matter of fact.
Just curious.
What's the next one you have, Bob? Special
Yeah.
items there?
Special items, yeah.
So on the agenda for tonight on there's several different things on here, but the liability insurance. So we met with Scott Liebert from CLG Insurance back a few weeks ago. And I put in a 5% increase on our insurance. Generally speaking, he's come back in with a flat quote or maybe 2%. This year, I'm a little more concerned because of the number of claims we've had and what their quote is going to be. So we have 5% in here now. Once I get the actual quote, hopefully before the budget season is over, we can adjust that as necessary.
Well, he's well aware that we were not happy with the
He is
service
well
we
aware.
received this year.
Yes.
So that may reflect in
His quotes. So, and we expressed our concern over the carrier that he used too, because the ambulance claim was just, it just got dragged on and on and on. They could have done a better job there. So, the other things in this account, in here are municipal association fees. They are what they are. I have the letters from the Orange County Association of Towns and New York State Association of Towns. MTA tax is a function of payroll.
Is that going away?
MTA tax?
Yeah.
Not that I've heard.
Okay.
And then the contingent account. I think probably we need to discuss this account again at the end of the budget process. So I kept it flat for now. When I prepared this budget, we hadn't used any of it yet this year, but we have now this year for the, I think we used it for some of the building changes downstairs and something else. I can't remember now. Was it the roof? Oh, maybe it was the roof. Maybe it was the roof. And then the contingent account in the B fund as well is 35,000. The same, but those really need to be revisited again at the end of the budget process. Next is debt. That really is just informational because it is what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it. There are leases for the police vehicles that have to be paid. There's the bond payment for the truck that Pat got 2 years ago, I think it was. The water district bond payments. And we're still budgeting for the sewer bond. Hopefully, in the 2021 year, we'll have that project behind us and making the bond payments for that. Any questions on anything so far?
Questions?
Rachel, you good?
Which one is water?
SW2. Yes. And they send a schedule, so I know what the payments are, you know, through the life of the bond.
Now, is building debt part of debt, or is it something separate?
Which one was that time?
I got one that says building debt.
Department.
Oh. Yeah. See, I should have looked at it with my glasses. Building department. Yeah, that's what it says. So that's not tonight, the building department.
Building department is tonight.
Okay.
The building department is tonight. So I think Richie can speak to this budget.
Well, it's lower. Hope I can remember everything. So with,
I have your email.
well, I think I remember most of it. When Dorothy was here, you see that line was a little bit over 17,000. She wasn't working all that often. That was before she chose to leave. So that got chopped down to 13,000, which I thought was conservative. That number might have to come back up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, it's definitely going to have to come back up to, I'm going to say 18,000. So if we're going to have a part-time secretary, 20 hours a week, which seems to be the direction we're going. Bruce leaving, we managed to save from what he was making about $7,000 or $8,000. And with that car 114, we expect to get another year or two out of it. I think he told me there's $5,000 or so in the reserve fund for a car. I wanted to give the reserve fund, which is probably farther down, a nice hit of $5,000. Maybe that has to be reduced down to $3,000. I would recommend going no lower. They're eventually going to need a vehicle. Reduce that down to $3,000 to make up for Dorothy's position. And the rest of it,
Back up 1 second, the clerk.
yep.
You have 13,000, but you said it should be 18?
Yeah, well, because 13,000 was based upon Dorothy working the time that was before she left.
Yeah.
So now that we have someone going from 8 or 10 hours to 20 hours a week, it's going to be back up where it was when she was getting the 17,000 plus.
Oh,
Is
okay.
this the hourly rate?
I forgot, I think she was getting 16.
Oh, maybe.
She was getting 16 an hour.
16.
So call it 17,000 when we saved with that. I had 13,000, so that's 4,000 in error, only because that was before she left. I based it on her working.
Yeah.
That was before Bruce left, that was before she left, you know. Our new hire is, if you look at the 63,000, but that's actually 62,000 is I think what was
Yes.
offered. And I don't see it right on here, not to confuse things. I believe when Bruce left, he took some vacation money with him.
Correct.
He did about $10,000.
That's correct.
So that comes out of last year's budget.
The 2020
somehow.
budget, yes.
I think the money's there for that.
Yeah.
The rest of it, the consultant, not reimbursed. So we have these projects where there's escrow accounts that pay for a consultant, like Dunkin' Donuts, to monitor it. But on occasion, when we have to defer something to Lincoln Tully, which I don't think Phil has done much of that yet, being with the uncertainty, I had $8,000 in there. If you feel we could chop that down a couple thousand, now that we're gonna have another person in that office, I'd be comfortable saying take that down to 5,000.
That's the consultant.
Yep. The consultant inspection fee non-reimbursed. Take that 5,000.
we still only spent $140 this year for the consultant.
What's that?
As of today, it's the consultant expenses, it's still only $140.
Really? Okay. So you want the honors, Kelly, of adding up these new numbers?
Sure.
So from 13,000 to 17,000,
Went up by 4,
the 63,000 should be 62.
by 1.
The 8,000 should be 5,000. And down at the bottom, however, it factors in, the vehicle reserve, I would not recommend going below 3,000 for that.
Okay.